There's a moment in our lives when everything seems lost. Shadows stretch around us, the path ahead vanishes into darkness, and a voice whispers in our ear that it's not worth continuing. Have you ever felt that? That weight on your chest when you look at your dreams and they seem impossible to achieve? When the people around you say you should give up, accept mediocrity, settle for less than you deserve? Right now, as you're watching this video, you might be going through one of the most difficult phases of your life. Maybe you lost a job, a relationship, an opportunity that seemed definitive. Maybe you're looking in the mirror and only seeing flaws, limitations, a version of yourself you don't recognize anymore. What if I told you that in this moment of apparent defeat, you are closer to your true strength than ever before? That the darkness you feel isn't the end of the story, but the prelude to your greatest transformation? Over half a century ago, an Oxford professor named J.R.R. Tolkien created a character who would become one of the greatest symbols of hope and wisdom in world literature. Gandalf, the Grey, then the White, is not just a fictional wizard. He's the personification of the light that never goes out, even in the darkest hours. His words resonate through generations because they touch something deep and eternal in our souls. The certainty that there is always hope, always a path, always a light, waiting to be kindled within us. Welcome to a journey of discovery and transformation. I'm your companion on this adventure towards wisdom, and together we'll explore the 15 most powerful teachings of Gandalf that can revolutionize how you view life's challenges, losses, and apparent impossibilities. We're not just here to discuss abstract philosophy or pretty quotes from a book. We're here to discover practical and spiritual tools that can rekindle the flame of hope in your heart and transform every obstacle into an opportunity for growth. Over the next few minutes, you'll discover how to apply Gandalf's age-old wisdom to real-life situations. You'll learn to see beyond appearances, to find courage when it seems to have vanished, to transform fear into fuel for action, and most importantly, you'll rediscover that spark of magic within you that no external circumstance can extinguish. Each teaching we'll share is not just a reflection, but a call to action, a key that can unlock doors you didn't even know existed in your life. Prepare your heart and mind for a profound transformation, because the wisdom you're about to receive has the power to illuminate not only the coming days, but all the years to come. The journey begins now, and just as Frodo discovered he had a strength he never imagined possessing, you too are about to discover the sleeping giant that lives within you. First, teaching. All we have to decide is what to do with the time that is given us. This is perhaps one of the most profound sentences ever written about the human condition, and it carries within it a truth that can completely transform how you see your life. When Gandalf speaks these words to Frodo, he's not just offering comfort, he's revealing one of the most fundamental secrets of existence. We don't control what happens to us, but we have absolute power over how we respond to what happens. Think for a moment about the times you felt like a victim of circumstances. How many hours did you spend lamenting the past, wishing things were different, blaming other people or situations for your problems? Gandalf teaches us that this is a perspective that robs us of our strength and keeps us trapped in cycles of unnecessary suffering. Time is the most democratic resource there is. We all receive exactly 24 hours a day, 7 days, a week. The difference between those who transform their lives and those who remain stagnant isn't in the amount of time available, but in the quality of the decisions we make with that time. In practice, this means you can choose to spend the next 30 minutes complaining about a problem at work, or you can use those same 30 minutes to develop a skill that brings you closer to the solution. You can choose to spend your mental energy ruminating on an argument you had yesterday, or you can direct it towards planning something extraordinary for tomorrow. Every moment is an opportunity for choice, and every choice is a seed you plant in the garden of your future. When you truly understand that time is your greatest wealth and that you have the power to decide how to invest it, something magical happens. You stop seeing yourself as a victim and begin to recognize yourself as the author of your own story. No matter how many painful chapters you've already written, as long as you're alive, there will always be blank pages waiting for you. Second teaching. Even the wisest cannot see all ends. The human need to control the future is one of the deepest sources of anxiety and suffering in our lives. How many nights have you stayed up, creating catastrophic scenarios about what could go wrong in your plans? How many opportunities have you missed because you couldn't predict exactly how everything would unfold? Gandalf, in his infinite wisdom, liberates us from this mental prison by reminding us that uncertainty isn't our enemy. It's the very essence of life's adventure. Imagine if you could see exactly how your life would unfold over the next 10 years. Where would the thrill of discovery be? Where would the growth come from overcoming the unexpected? Where would the magic of positive surprises the universe has in store for you be? The wisdom of Merlin teaches us that our limitation in seeing the future is not a design flaw. It's a fundamental feature that makes life a worthy adventure. This doesn't mean we should live irresponsibly or without planning. It means we should do our best with the information we have, plant the right seeds, and then trust the life process. Some of the greatest blessings you've ever received, probably, came from directions you'd never considered. That job you didn't get may have paved the way for an even better opportunity. That relationship that ended may have freed up space for the love of your life to enter the scene. The daily practice of this teaching involves developing what we can call the courage of uncertainty. Every time you find yourself anxious about the future, remember Merlin's words and ask yourself, what can I do today with the information I have? What step can I take now, even without seeing the whole staircase? Life unfolds one step at a time, and that's not a limitation. It's an invitation to live each moment with intensity and presence. Third teaching. It is in the small acts of kindness and love that we keep the darkness at bay. In a world that often convinces us that we need to make grand gestures to make an impact, Merlin reminds us of a revolutionary truth. It's the small acts of kindness that truly transform the world. This wisdom goes far beyond being a nice person. It reveals a fundamental principle about how light spreads in the darkness. Think about the last time someone did something small but significant for you. Maybe it was a genuine smile from a stranger on a tough day, an unexpected message from a friend asking how you were, or a simple gesture of courtesy that restored your faith in humanity. These moments have a power disproportionate to their size because they touch something essential in our nature, the need for connection and mutual recognition. Merlin teaches us that each act of kindness is like lighting a candle in the darkness. A single candle may not seem like much, but in a completely dark room it changes everything. And when other people see your light, they feel inspired to light their own candles. Thus, gradually, the darkness recedes, not through a single grand, heroic act, but through the multiplication of small lights. In practice, this means that you have the power to be an agent of transformation every day, regardless of your social position, financial resources, or public influence. It can be as simple as truly listening to someone who needs to be heard, offering help to an overwhelmed colleague, or expressing genuine gratitude to someone who made a difference in your life. Each of these acts creates positive ripples that extend far beyond what you can see. But there's an even deeper dimension to this teaching. When you practice small acts of kindness regularly, you not only impact others, you transform yourself. Each conscious choice to be kind strengthens the muscle of compassion in your heart. Each moment you choose love over indifference, you become more aligned with your true nature. And when you live aligned with your true nature, the darkness simply can't find a place to settle in your life. Fourth teaching. Courage is not the absence of fear, but action in spite of fear. If there's one illusion that paralyzes more people than any other, it's the belief that courageous people don't feel fear. How many opportunities have you missed waiting for the fear to disappear before acting? How many dreams have you postponed because you believed you needed to feel completely confident before taking the first step? Merlin frees us from this mental prison by revealing that true courage is not the absence of fear. It's the choice to act when fear is present. Observe the most transformative moments of your life. Probably most of them happened when you decided to do something despite being afraid. That difficult conversation you had that resulted in a deeper relationship. That professional opportunity you accepted even though you felt unprepared. That move to a new city career, or lifestyle that seems scary but proved essential to your growth? Fear, in fact, is often an indicator that you're on the right track. It shows up when you're about to step outside your comfort zone, when you're considering something that can really make a difference in your life. The problem isn't feeling fear. The problem is letting fear make the decisions for you. Merlin teaches us that we can acknowledge the fear, thank it for trying to protect us, and then consciously choose to take the next step, even with it present. The daily practice of courage begins with small acts. It could be initiating a conversation with someone you admire, expressing a genuine opinion in a meeting, or simply doing something new you've wanted to do for a while. Every time you act despite fear, you prove to yourself that you're stronger than you think. And each small victory over fear builds the confidence needed to face bigger challenges. Remember, fear is a visitor, not a permanent resident. It can show up, you can acknowledge it, but you don't have to let it run your life. Courage is a muscle that strengthens with use, and each courageous act you perform today makes the next courageous act easier tomorrow. Fifth teaching: not all those who wander are lost. In a society obsessed with linear plans and clearly defined paths, this wisdom from Merlin offers a liberating perspective on periods of uncertainty and exploration in our lives. How many times have you judged yourself harshly for not having everything planned out? How many times have you felt lost because your path didn't look like the paths of others around you? The truth is, some of life's greatest treasures are discovered precisely when we think we're lost. That professional transition phase that seemed like a detour might have been the period where you developed essential skills for your future. That relationship that ended abruptly might have created the necessary space for you to rediscover yourself as an individual. That period of questioning your purpose might have been exactly what you needed to find a more authentic direction. Merlin teaches us that there's a fundamental difference between being lost and exploring. When you're lost, you've abandoned your inner compass and are reacting out of desperation. When you're exploring, you may not know exactly where you'll end up, but you trust the process and remain open to the possibilities that arise along the way. Think about the times in your life when you felt most lost. Now, with the perspective of time, can you see how those periods were actually essential to your growth? How did they lead you to self-discoveries you wouldn't have made following a straight and predictable path? That's the magic of conscious wandering. It allows us to discover aspects of ourselves and the world that remain invisible when we follow only known routes. The practical application of this teaching involves redefining your relationship with uncertainty. Instead of viewing periods of transition as failures or setbacks, start seeing them as opportunities for exploration and discovery. Allow yourself to question, experiment, change direction when needed. Trust that every experience, even those that seem like detours, is contributing to the formation of the unique person you're becoming. Sixth teaching: hope is rekindled when it seems furthest away. There's a mysterious pattern in the human experience that Merlin perfectly captures. In this teaching, often our greatest transformations happen precisely when we feel there's no way out. It's as if the universe conspires to show us solutions just when we believe we've exhausted all possibilities. Have you ever been through that moment when everything seemed to have fallen apart, when you'd tried everything and nothing worked? When the last door slammed in your face, and then completely unexpectedly a new possibility emerged? Maybe it was a phone call at the exact moment, a chance encounter that changed everything, or simply a new perspective that illuminated a solution that was always there but you couldn't see. This phenomenon isn't coincidence. It's the natural workings of life. When we reach our apparent limit, when our rational mind exhausts all known strategies, we create space for something bigger to operate in our lives. It's in this moment of surrender that we often discover inner resources we didn't even know we possessed, or that we open space for synchronicity and unexpected opportunities to manifest. Merlin teaches us that hope isn't just a feeling, it's an active force in the universe that tends to manifest when we need it most. But for that to happen, we need to learn to trust the process even when we can't see the outcome. We need to develop the faith that there's always a solution, even when it hasn't yet revealed itself. The daily practice of this teaching involves cultivating what we might call spiritual resilience. When you're facing a seemingly impossible challenge, instead of surrendering to despair, pause and remember all the previous times you thought there was no way out, and yet one manifested. Connect with that greater force operating in your life and allow it to work, even when you can't see how. Renewed hope often arrives disguised as small signs, a word of encouragement from someone unexpected, a new idea that arises during a walk, an opportunity that appears in a moment of pause. Stay alert to these signs, for they are often the first rays of light of a new dawn in your life. Seventh teaching: the power of the ring can only be broken where it was forged. This teaching carries deep wisdom about facing and personal transformation. Merlin teaches us that some battles cannot be won through avoidance or escape. They must be faced at their origin. In our lives, this translates into the need to confront our fears, traumas, and limiting patterns exactly where they were born. Within us, how many times have you tried to solve a problem by changing only the external circumstances? Switched jobs to escape conflicts that actually stemmed from your difficulty communicating? Ended relationships to avoid working through intimacy issues that kept reappearing in the next relationship? Moved to a new city, hoping to leave behind aspects of yourself that bothered you? Merlin's wisdom shows us that, as long as we don't confront the real source of our challenges, we'll continue carrying them with us wherever we go. The ring of our limiting patterns can only be destroyed when we have the courage to return to the place where it was forged, to the original wounds, the limiting beliefs, the deep fears that unconsciously govern our choices. This doesn't mean you need to relive traumas or punish yourself for the past. It means having the courage to look at these aspects of yourself with compassion and determination to transform them. It may be through therapy, meditation, honest conversations with close people, or simply moments of deep reflection where you allow yourself to feel and process what needs to be processed. In practice, this translates into courageous questions. What pattern do I keep repeating that no longer serves me? What ancestral fear still governs my decisions? What belief about myself needs to be updated? When you have the courage to ask these questions and seek answers honestly, you put yourself on the path of true liberation. Remember, you are both the ring bearer and the hero who can destroy it. The force that created the limiting pattern is the same force that can transform it. And when you finally confront and transform those core issues, not only do you liberate yourself, you become a living example that transformation is possible for everyone around you. Eighth teaching: death is just another path, one we all must tread. In a culture that tries to avoid the subject of mortality at all costs, Merlin offers a transformative perspective on life's impermanence. This isn't a morbid teaching. It's a key to living with greater intensity, purpose, and appreciation for the time we have. When you truly accept that your physical life is temporary, something magical happens. You stop wasting time on things that don't matter and start investing your energy in what truly has meaning. How many pointless arguments would you avoid if you remembered that life is too short to harbor resentment? How many words of love would you express if you knew you might not have another opportunity? Awareness of mortality shouldn't paralyze us with fear. It should free us from the paralysis of procrastination. That creative project you've been putting off for years, that dream trip you plan to take someday, that important conversation you avoid having, all these things gain a healthy urgency when you remember that time is limited. Merlin teaches just that accepting death as a natural part of life allows us to live with more courage and authenticity. When you're no longer trying to avoid the inevitable, you can focus on what's within your control, how you choose to live each day, what legacy you want to leave, what kind of energy you want to share with the world while you're here. This also applies to the little deaths we experience throughout life, the end of relationships, career changes, the loss of identities we once held. Each of these transitions is an opportunity for rebirth, a chance to leave behind versions of ourselves that no longer serve us and embrace new possibilities. The daily practice of this teaching involves cultivating gratitude for the life you have now. Each morning when you wake up, remember that this day is a gift that's not guaranteed. Use this awareness not to live with anxiety, but to live with intensity and purpose. Make choices that honor the preciousness of the time you've been given. Ninth teaching, there's more in you than you know. Perhaps there's no more liberating phrase than this during times of self-doubt and apparent inadequacy. When Merlin speaks these words, he's not just offering superficial encouragement, he's revealing a fundamental truth about human potential that most of us rarely get to see. Think about the moments in your life when you surprised yourself. That emergency situation where you discovered a strength you didn't know you possessed. That creative challenge you faced and found solutions you never imagined were possible. That moment of crisis where you became the leader, the comforter, the problem solver, even when you felt completely unprepared. The truth is, we drastically underestimate our own capabilities. We live as if we're the limited version of ourselves. We know through past experiences, without realizing that every new challenge is an opportunity to discover unexplored facets of our being. It's as if we have a gigantic house, but only live in 1 or 2 rooms, without even knowing the rest exists. Merlin teaches us that this is one of the greatest tragedies of the human condition. It's not that we lack sufficient capacity to achieve our dreams, it's that we don't know how much capacity we really have. What would you consider possible if you knew you possessed inner resources you haven't even discovered yet? What goal would you allow yourself to have if you truly trusted your untapped potential? The practice of discovering more in you begins with small experiments in expansion. Consciously put yourself in situations that demand a little more than you believe you're capable of. Accept that project that seems slightly beyond your current abilities. Have that conversation that requires more vulnerability than you normally show. Explore that hobby or interest that has always piqued your curiosity, but that you judge to be out of your reach. Each time you surprise yourself with your own capacity, you expand your perception of who you are and what you're capable of. And this expansion of self-perception is the first step toward a real expansion of your possibilities in life. Remember, you are not just who you have been so far. You are also everything you can become. 10th teaching. It's the work we choose to do that defines us. In a world obsessed with titles, positions, and external recognition, Merlin reminds us of a fundamental truth. We are not defined by what we do to impress others, but by the choices we make when no one is looking. It is in the work we consciously choose to embrace that we reveal our true character and purpose. Think about the difference between doing something because you have to do it and doing something because you choose to do it. The energy is completely different, isn't it? When you consciously choose to dedicate yourself to something, whether it's caring for a sick relative, developing a skill, building a project, or simply being a positive presence in someone's life, you are exercising your power of self-determination in its purest form. The work that Merlin speaks of doesn't just refer to a profession, but to any conscious effort you decide to embrace. It could be the work of becoming a more patient, more understanding, more courageous person. It could be the work of healing old wounds, of developing talents, of contributing to your community. It could be the quiet, daily work of being integral, even when it would be easier to take shortcuts. This conscious choice to embrace certain kinds of work is what differentiates us from people who simply react to life. When you consciously decide what kind of person you want to become and what kind of contribution you want to make to the world, you become the architect of your own identity instead of merely a product of circumstance. In practice, this means regularly pausing to ask, what work am I choosing to embrace? What kind of person are my daily choices making me? If someone were to observe my actions over the next 6 months, what conclusions would they draw about my values and priorities? These questions can be uncomfortable, but they are the pathway to a conscious and intentional life. Remember, every day you are working on something, even if unconsciously. The question is whether you're consciously choosing that work or allowing it to be chosen by external forces, by habit, by autopilot. The power to choose your work, in the broadest sense of the word, is one of the purest expressions of your human freedom. 11th teaching. Small people make big differences when they unite for a greater cause. In a time when we often feel insignificant in the face of the magnitude of global problems, Merlin reminds us of a powerful truth. It's not individual size that determines impact, but unity around purposes larger than ourselves. This lesson goes far beyond teamwork. It speaks to the multiplicative power that arises when ordinary people connect with something extraordinary. Observe the moments of transformation in human history. Rarely were they the result of a single extraordinary person acting alone. More often, they were the result of ordinary people who decided to unite around a vision that transcended their individual interests. Every social change movement, every positive revolution, every significant advancement in the human condition happened because small people decided that together they could do something big. This applies not only to global historical changes, but also to transformations in our personal lives and communities. That group of neighbors who banded together to improve the neighborhood, that work team that decided to raise everyone's standard of excellence, that family that committed to supporting a struggling member. In each case, the power didn't come from exceptional individual talents, but from the synergy created by unity around something larger. Merlin teaches us that when we connect with causes that transcend our immediate interests, something magical happens. We discover strengths and capabilities we didn't know we possessed. It's as if the connection to something larger activates dormant aspects of our nature and allows us to contribute in ways we never imagined possible. The practical application of this teaching begins with a simple question. What greater cause than myself can I connect with? It could be something grand like environmental preservation, or something closer to home like improving the experience of people at your workplace. The size of the cause matters less than the genuineness of your connection to it. When you find that connection and seek out other people who share the same vision, you discover that your individual limitations become irrelevant. What matters is the unique contribution you can make within the larger whole. And frequently you will discover that your small contribution was exactly the missing piece that allowed something extraordinary to happen. 12th teaching. The mercy that prevented Bilbo from killing Gollum was what saved everyone. This is perhaps one of Merlin's most profound and counterintuitive teachings. The compassion we show in moments of power over others is not weakness. It is often the strength that creates the conditions for future miracles. When Bilbo chose to spare Gollum, he couldn't have imagined that this decision would be crucial to the destruction of the ring and the salvation of Middle-earth. How many times in your life have you had the opportunity to destroy someone who had hurt you? How many times have you had the power to retaliate in kind, to expose someone's weaknesses, to use information against a person who wronged you? And how many times did you choose the path of compassion instead of revenge? Merlin reveals to us that these moments of choosing mercy have consequences that extend far beyond what we can imagine. When we choose to respond to evil with kindness, when we decide to forgive instead of punish, when we opt for compassion even when it doesn't seem deserved, we are planting seeds of transformation that can blossom in completely unexpected ways. The wisdom behind this teaching is that compassion has a transformative power that revenge never possesses. Revenge only perpetuates cycles of pain and retaliation. Compassion, on the other hand, has the power to break those cycles and create entirely new possibilities. When you choose to respond with kindness to someone who has hurt you, you not only free that person from the burden of guilt, you free yourself from the burden of resentment. More profoundly still, acts of compassion often touch something dormant in people's hearts. That person who betrayed you at work may one day become your greatest advocate because they were touched by how you responded to the betrayal. That difficult family member may discover a better side of themselves because you continued to treat them with dignity, even in the most challenging moments. The practice of this teaching doesn't mean accepting abusive behavior or allowing others to take advantage of you. It means consciously choosing to respond from your highest nature, even when others aren't doing the same. It means setting healthy boundaries, but doing so from a place of strength and compassion, not anger and revenge. Remember, you never know when your choice of compassion might be exactly what the universe needs to create a larger transformation. That moment when you choose to forgive may be the first step in a chain of events that results in healings and reconciliations you can't even imagine. 13th teaching. Even in the deepest darkness, a single flame can light the way. In our darkest moments, when it seems all hope is lost and there's no way out of the challenges we face, Merlin reminds us of a fundamental truth about the nature of light and hope. We don't need a complete and immediate transformation to start changing our situation. We just need a small flame of possibility. Think about the most difficult periods of your life. Maybe it was a devastating loss, a deep depression, a setback that shook you to your core, or a time when you felt completely lost about who you were and where you were going. Now, try to remember, what was the first small light that began to show a way out? It might have been an unexpected conversation, a book that fell into your hands, a new perspective that emerged during a walk, or simply a morning when you woke up feeling a small spark of hope you didn't know where it came from. Merlin's wisdom teaches us that we don't need to wait for all the darkness to disappear to start walking. A single flame, a single idea, a single action, a single different choice can be enough to guide us toward the next step. And often, that's all we need. Not the complete illumination of the entire path, but just enough light to take the next step. This is profoundly liberating because it takes us out of the paralysis of perfection. How many times have you failed to act because you couldn't see how the whole situation would resolve itself? How many times have you remained stuck because you were waiting to be absolutely certain about the complete path? Merlin teaches us that courage doesn't require complete vision. It only requires enough trust to follow the small light you can see now. In practice, this means consciously looking for small flames amidst the difficulties. It could be a small action you can take today to improve your situation. It could be a person who can offer a different perspective. It could be a new way of thinking about your challenge that opens up possibilities you hadn't considered. The important thing is to recognize that you don't need to solve everything at once. You just need to find the next small flame and have enough courage to follow it. One flame leads to another, and before you know it, you'll be walking toward the full light one step at a time. 14th teaching. Those who try to control power are controlled by it. This teaching reveals one of the deepest paradoxes of the human experience. The more we try to control the people and situations around us, the more we become slaves to the need for control. Merlin shows us that true power doesn't come from domination, but from the wisdom of knowing when to exert influence and when to let things flow naturally. Observe the moments in your life when you tried to control a situation too much. Maybe it was trying to force a relationship that wasn't working, insisting on micromanaging a project at work, or trying to mold someone to fit your expectations. What did you discover? Probably that the more you tried to control, the more stressed and frustrated you became, and the less control you actually had. The irony of excessive control is that it stems from fear. Fear that things won't go as we planned, fear that others won't make the right choices, fear that we'll lose something important if we don't keep everything under our supervision. But this fear makes us prisoners of constant and exhausting surveillance that drains our energy and harms our relationships. Merlin teaches us that there's a fundamental difference between healthy influence and toxic control. Healthy influence comes from a place of love and wisdom. You offer your perspective, create the best possible conditions, and then trust the process and the people. Toxic control comes from fear and insecurity. You try to force specific results and become anxious when things don't follow your script exactly. True power, the kind of power Merlin wielded, comes from the combination of inner strength with outer flexibility. It's knowing when to intervene and when to step back, when to offer guidance, and when to allow others to learn through their own experiences. It's trusting that you've done your part to the best of your ability, and then having faith in the natural unfolding of events. The practice of this teaching involves developing what we might call conscious control. Identify areas of your life where you're trying to control too much. Ask yourself, what am I trying to control here? What fear is behind this need for control? What would happen if I did my part to the best of my ability and then trusted the process? Remember, when you let go of the need to control everything, You don't lose power. You discover a much more sustainable and effective kind of power. The power that comes from trust, adaptability, and the wisdom of knowing that some of the best things in life happen precisely when we stop trying to force them. 15th teaching. True magic lies in helping others discover the magic within themselves. This last teaching is perhaps the most transformative of all because it reveals the secret to lasting fulfillment and deep purpose. Merlin didn't use his magic to solve other people's problems. He used it to awaken the power that already existed within them. And in that choice, he discovered something extraordinary. When we help others shine, our own light intensifies exponentially. Think about the moments in your life when you felt most fulfilled and accomplished. Probably many of those moments involved situations where you were able to make a difference in someone's life. Not necessarily by solving their problems, but by helping that person discover their own strength, their own worth, their own solutions. There's something profoundly magical about these moments because they connect us with our highest nature. Merlin's wisdom shows us there's a crucial difference between helping someone and empowering someone. When we simply solve others' problems, we create dependence and deprive that person of the opportunity for growth. When we empower someone to discover their own solutions, we create independence and contribute to their development as a human being. This is true leadership, true mentorship, true friendship, not doing for others what they can learn to do for themselves, but creating the conditions for them to discover and develop their own capabilities. It's believing in people before they even believe in themselves. It's seeing potential where others see only limitations. Practicing this teaching transforms not only the people around you, but yourself. When you become someone who brings out the best in others, you simultaneously bring out the best in yourself. When you help someone discover their courage, you strengthen your own courage. When you help someone find hope, you renew your own hope. Start small. Look at the people around you and ask yourself, what potential do I see in this person that they may not yet see in themselves? It could be a co-worker who has brilliant ideas, but lacks the confidence to express them. It could be a friend who has untapped talents. It could be a family member going through a tough time and needing to be reminded of their own strength. Real magic isn't about supernatural powers. It's about recognizing the extraordinary that exists in ordinary people and helping them recognize it too. When you become a potential awakener, an igniter of inner flames, a living reminder that each person carries within them incredible capabilities, you become a true magician in the deepest sense of the word. And here we arrive at the end of this journey through Merlin's wisdom. But in truth, this is only the beginning of your own transformative adventure. Each teaching we've explored together isn't just a nice reflection. It's a practical tool you can use to navigate life's challenges with more wisdom, courage, and purpose. Remember, you don't need to apply all these teachings at once. Choose the one that most resonates with your current moment. Maybe it's the reminder that you have more inside you than you realize. Maybe it's the courage to act despite fear. Maybe it's the wisdom that small acts of kindness can transform the world around you. Whatever it is, allow that teaching to become a light that guides your next steps. Life is an extraordinary adventure, full of dragons to be faced, treasures to be discovered, and versions of ourselves we don't yet fully know. As Merlin taught Arthur and so many others, you already possess everything you need for this journey. Sometimes you just need someone to remind you of that. So as you leave this moment of reflection and return to the real world with its challenges and opportunities, carry with you the certainty that you are stronger than your fears, wiser than your doubts, and more capable than your apparent limitations. You are the hero of your own story, and like every true hero, you have the power to transform not only your own life, but also to be a light for others who are still finding their way in the darkness. If this video touched something within you, if any of these teachings ignited a flame of possibility in your heart, share that light with other people. Leave a comment telling us which teaching impacted you the most and how you intend to apply it in your life. Subscribe to the channel to continue this journey of discovery and transformation, because we have much more wisdom to explore together. And always remember Merlin's immortal words. All we have to decide is what to do with the time that is given us. Your time is now. Your adventure is this. and your magic is waiting to be discovered and shared with the world. The journey continues, and you do not walk alone.